Welcome and good morning to the Think Like a Marketer show, where we interview and talk about marketing, entrepreneurship, and innovative products. And hey, welcome to the first show of 2019. I know, wow, I feel like the 2018 was like a week long. Hopefully, I'm not the only one who felt like that way. I mean, there was some, major events that happened in my life, and much like everybody else, a lot of things happen, good and bad. And I always take those as a learning experience. For those of you who don't know, last year I lost my mom, January 11th, to colon cancer. Yeah, I know it's that cancer word. So I was so done with 2018 at the first week of last year. So, there are going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of New Year's resolutions being set. There's going to be a lot of blogs written, a lot of Facebook Lives talking about, what you should be doing in 2019. And I don't necessarily want this to be one of those things. Actually, I just really want to give you a different perspective on things that you can focus on. I mean, and it's the things that you should want to do, not what other people want you to do. Hey, first I want to say, hey, thank you, Robbie, for coming on. Donnie coming on for the first show of 2019. Like I said, so people are gonna, and you may have already set these New Year's resolutions. Me, I'm like, do we actually need a specific day that we all decide, hey, this is the day that we're gonna, set our some goals and we're gonna work to achieve them? I mean, you could do that any time of the year, any day you'd like. It doesn't necessarily have to be January 1st that you started out. There's no time better than the present to do anything. But I wanted to give you maybe some perspective on some things that you can look at improving, and be deliberate about those things. Like, we set goals about health, and mostly people's main. I've been doing a lot of reading. Is the number one thing that people focus on is their weight and their fitness and their health. And it's like, those are all good goals to have, but those should be things that you already just normally do. Like, pay attention to, like, just healthy habits, right? Like, does somebody need to tell us that? Apparently so. I mean, it's got the multi-billion-dollar industry that preys on people every year. And hey, look, at the end of the day, when it comes to health, we all know what you need to do. There's three things you need to do. Number one, you need to have the right mindset. You need to eat properly and do some exercise. Do you need to read a book about that? Do you need to watch a video about that? Do you need to have somebody tell you that? Apparently so. So those are going to be one of the things. I mean, I'm not the biggest health nut, nor do I claim to be. But I wanted to give you a couple of things. Hey, for those of you who are watching this on the replay, I appreciate you coming on. If you're watching it now, please share it with people. I'm going to go over 5 deliberate actions that I believe we should all do every day, all the time. You don't need to necessarily set a goal, but I'm going to give you some different perspective on each one of these. Hopefully, one of them will stick out and you go, you know what? I think I want to try that and do that. So again, if you don't mind, please share. If you're not already liking the Facebook page, go to Think Like a Marketer Show Facebook page. Follow us on there. Have a Facebook group. It's called the All In Marketing Academy. You can go there. I talk about different techniques, different things, try to keep you updated what's going on with the digital age, because it changes like daily. But before I get into the topic, I want to say thank you to our sponsor at randallchestnut.com. They're the architects of marketing. They work to create effective marketing campaigns that speak directly to the right people at the right time, leveraging emerging technology and digital marketing to get to you, the right customer, engage them with your brand. They take the time to do the research and find the ideal client and understand what their struggles and pains are. Then they craft a custom blueprint of the exact marketing activities and assets that you'll need to create a successful marketing campaign. Right now, you can go to randallchestnut.com. That's Randall, RANDALLCHESNUTT. No T in the middle, two at the end, and download their free 9-step process for building the perfect marketing campaign. Yes, you can go to randallchestnut.com, download that free 9-step perfect marketing campaign to help you get you started on the new year of reaching the right customers. And, why not reach the right ones, not the wrong ones? So I want to jump in here. The first one that is near and dear to my heart. So I'm going to give you these 5, right? And then I'm going to, at the end, I'm going to give you just one thing that I think can encompass all 5 of these that you could do. That's really fun and really exciting. So you'll want to stick around to the end so I can tell you what that is, right? See, I learned this from television. Like you gotta give them a little reason to stay behind, or you could just come back. It doesn't matter to me. So the first one is, and this is again, like I said, it's investing in your creativity. Yeah, as a child, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and for Christmas she wanted this big Barbie doll house, and I watch her and her friends play literally all day and create these imaginary tales, these imaginary stories. They're talking to each other with these dolls, creating these, like, some of these stories are actually pretty funny. If you have kids, and it's just fascinating to watch them create these elaborate stories. And then as we get older, we stop doing these things. That doesn't mean that we're not creative. I've talked to a lot of people like, well, I'm just not creative. If you don't think you're creative, get pulled over and get a speeding ticket and see how creative you get to figuring out a way to get out of that speeding ticket. Yeah, it's you. We've all done it. So, we just think we're not creative, but we are. We're creative beings. Like everything about us is creative, even if you don't think you're creative. Now, when most people think of being creative, they think of like painting, like create something that's creative, or decorating your home and creating a creative space in there. And of course, all of those things are creative, but there's many other things that are creative too. All things are created twice, once in the mind and once in the real world. Now, a lot of us spend a lot of time creating things in our mind and getting the satisfaction of creating them in our mind, but never bringing them to the real world. And that's basically just a waste of your time. So don't do that. So when we talk about being creative, investing in your creativity, find activities that you maybe never have done. Go take a pottery class or read magazines that you normally wouldn't read, or books that you normally wouldn't read. Watch television programs that you normally wouldn't watch. Watch documentaries about things you normally wouldn't watch. And what you'll find is inside of those things is a small seed that's in the back of your mind that you actually find that you didn't even know you had, watching how to, like, I've been on this big Egypt kick. I love history, so it's kind of something I just already like. But I've pretty much watched everything that's about Egypt on Netflix and on Hulu and Amazon. And I just find it fascinating. But I also watch things that I'm not necessarily interested in, like nature stuff, like learning about scientific nature stuff. I am curious by nature, but curious about everything. So I try to find things that I don't necessarily think that I would be interested in and just see. And what you'll find is inside of those is that you'll learn how everything is kind of interconnected. And that problem that you've been trying to solve, or that question that you've been burning in the back of your mind, or something that we all go through life going like, what is my purpose? Like, what am I good at? What do I like doing? It's inside of doing, because what we do is we do things that we're comfortable with. That's just what humans do. With the least resistance, we like our day to go according to plan, so to speak. And we just end up doing unknowingly things that we just already know, things that we already feel comfortable doing. And we don't step outside and experiment and find those things. Like Robbie just posted here, our biggest obstacle is self-doubt. Yeah, self-doubt. Like, we are our own worst critic, especially if you have this terrible disease called perfectionism. You just have a serious case of self-doubt, or at least afraid of failure. So invest in being creative. If you have kids, I mean, just play with them or play a video game. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing a video game. There's never a time wasted. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to waste my time doing that. Well, what is it? Is it something that might cultivate something that you've never done? Like play a video game. Like nothing wrong with playing a video game. What's wrong is if you do it all the time, all day long, and don't get paid for it. Because there are people who actually get paid for it. And I just heard that they're actually creating a scholarship. You can actually go to college based off of a video game, playing video games. Hey, the universities are not stupid. They know where the money's at. I mean, they've seen how many people watched other people playing video games. And hey, universities, at the end of the day, they themselves as a business don't give a crap about it. All they care about is making money because they're a business. The people who work inside of it and teach students, professors, they care about actually teaching the students. But the university, they just want to make money. So they weren't stupid when they seen like, we should like tell people to start playing video games, get them to come to our university and pay a crap load of money. So that's number one, invest in creativity. So the next one is one that, we all suffer from in time to time. And Robbie kind of touched on it and when he talked about self-doubt, and that's invest in your self-confidence. There couldn't be anything more that you could do, and that is to build confidence. Not all of us were born with parents or surroundings that built our self-confidence, or that we found something early on that we were really, really good at, that people just told us we're the best at. Justin Timberlake, people like that. When he was younger, he, was a Mouseketeer, and he found Britney Spears. And he knew early on what he was good at, and it helped build his confidence. And to explore in other things. And, the rest is history as far as it goes for him. Self-confidence could not be, I think sometimes it's underrated, like being confident in what you're doing. And it starts with just find a subject that you know the most about. That's number one. You'll be confident about something if you know a lot about it. If somebody asks you, there are people that I listen to because I travel a lot in the airport that know everything about the Green Bay Packers. Every stat of every player, all the way back to when they were a kid, right? That person right there, if what they were asked to come on a radio show or a television show and talk about the Green Bay Packers, they would be pretty confident that anything that they talked about or they were asked, that they could answer that question. So self-confidence really starts with finding something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and learn everything about. You don't need to know everything about everything. I mean, who knows everything about everything? Nobody. So so it's not going to be you either. You could be interested in things. Don't get me wrong, because I am. But just when it comes to self-confidence, you only need to be an expert or know something about one thing. Because once you know about that one thing, something magical happens inside of you. You get this thing called self-confidence, and it radiates out into other things, right? Because you understand you're not trying to tell people that you're good at everything. You're only good at that one thing. And it seems to attract instances, networking, all things start attracting to that one thing that you're self-confident about. It's crazy how that works, right? So invest in your self-confidence. And what I mean by that is take all your energy and focus it on learning and understanding your craft, whatever that craft is. And the more niche down or specialized that you can be, the better that you'll be at that one thing, and the more self-confidence you will have, and it will radiate into the rest of your life. And hey, I don't need to tell you guys, if you're listening, and girls, you can comment in the comment box here. There's nothing more sexy or more attractive than self-confidence. And there's nothing more repelling and more off-putting than people who are not confident. So self-confidence, invest in that if you're not already. Now this is one, invest in your health. Now this happens to be the one area in my life that I seem to be the least disciplined. Look, I got out of the Army in 1990. No, January, the first week of 1991. I got out, and that was probably the last time that I actually deliberately exercised in my life. And it's not an area that I well, for a long time thought was important. As you get older, you start realizing that that is a very important, like the health. And when I say health, I mean mental health. I mean physical health. And part of that physical health is eating right, proper diet. And hey, look, let me just say this. When you scroll through Instagram, you do not need to have a six-pack ab, the lines, all of that stuff. Don't believe that. You do not need to have that. You don't. I mean, come on. I mean, do you really? I mean, I don't. I don't have all of those things. I don't spend hours at the gym, working on my actual body. I don't think you need to. I think you need to do this is what I think you need to do. I think you need to look at your diet and start off with a simple cutting out things. Your mind is going to try to resist you in any of these things that we're talking about. So try to find the one thing that you can say, I think I can do that, whatever it is. Maybe you drink sodas, for example, right? And you have all these other unhealthy habits. Just say to yourself, I'm just going to stop drinking sodas. Instead of drinking sodas, I'm going to drink water. Start with that and then start building on it. They say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's exactly how you can attack your things that like for me, it's like I started off, I was just like, I don't drink sodas anyway. And I don't drink alcohol. So that actually helps. Or I drink a little bit, I should say, of wine. But I never get drunk. Nothing wrong with those people who do. It's just not something that I do. And start like cutting out and improving those small areas and walk. I mean, you don't have to run. You don't have to walk. You don't have to work out for 2 hours and do this crazy ass diet. You don't. I don't care what Instagram says. I don't care what all these people who sell these fitness packages and all this stuff. You do not need to look like that. What you need to do is just have what you need to do is first work on the mind, because the mind will convince you to do all that other stuff. That's why I did it in that order. And mental health is super important. And all of these, your mental health will improve when you are self-confident. Mental health will improve when you cultivate your creative side. And all of those things start getting you interested in things that tennis or maybe you power walking. I don't know. Or I seen a funny video. If you get a chance, you got to check this video out. It's this older lady, and she takes this stuff seriously too. It's prancing. Yes, prancing. I don't even know what prancing was, but you got to go check it out. If you get a chance, go to, and if I could find it, I'll post it in the YouTube. And hey, if you're listening live, go to YouTube and type in prancing workout, and you'll see this older lady, mature lady, showing you how to prancercise through the park. It's hilarious. You got to check that out. It's just for a good laugh for 2019. But investing in your mental health and your physical health, just eat right and do some form of physical activity. If you already do it in your job, you don't need to do that. Hey, look, if you go to Europe, you see those people, like you go to Amsterdam, for example, they ride bikes around. No, those people aren't going to no gyms. They're not doing that. I mean, there are a couple people there, but nothing like here. Like we're told that we should go to the gym. We got to drink these crazy shakes. We got to buy all this crazy stuff. Look, just eat raw, healthy food. It's not packaged. It's not processed. Do some basic exercises and drink a lot of water. I mean, come on. It's not that complicated. You don't need to make it complicated. And you don't, again, ladies, need to look like a man. You don't need to have these ball shoulders, have abs like a man. I mean, it's okay if you want to do that, but you don't need to look like that. In fact, I don't think it's attractive at all for myself to look like a man with a woman's head or body. Just me. That's me. So, mental health, invest in your health. I mean, come on now. So, this is one that just by far, I think if there was one topic that could be taught in high school, and that is invest in your finances, like understanding your finances. This is what happens. We send our kids to, what's it, kindergarten, and then 12 years. So 13 total years, right? And we teach them history. We teach them social studies. By the way, we teach them history. It's not even proper. I mean, like Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's not even true. But we teach them stuff that's not even true. So anyway, I digress. We teach them social studies. We teach them science. We teach them biology. We teach them all of these things. And all of those things are definitely building blocks on finding things that they may be interested in as their adult life. You know, people find those things, music, art, sports. But if you look at high school, like what activities does a high school promote the most, either knowingly or unknowingly? Sports. Nothing wrong with sports, because you do learn a lot of things. You learn teamwork, you learn discipline, you learn all of these things, right? So nothing wrong with what I'm about to say, but there are skills let's say that you do become a famous athlete or a scientist and you get all this money. Did high school prepare you for what's about to come mentally and financially? What do you do with that money? Like, what do you think somebody who gets a lot of money is going to do if they aren't educated with it? They're going to blow it. That's what they're going to do. So investing in understanding how you can make money work for you, and you don't even need a lot. Like, imagine if you just saved $100, just $100. I mean, not just being crazy. I mean, you're going to have to save a lot more than that. But if you saved $100 every month, pretty much everyone should be able to do that. Save $100, set it aside. At the end of the year, it's $1,200. That doesn't sound like a lot, right? But if you did that for 5 years, you built it up and you committed to, I'm going to take that $5,000 and I'm going to buy some real estate property, some rental property. And now you leverage that money into buying, let's say, $100,000 a property. Like, where can you find those? I mean, I don't think you can, but just for example. And now you took a $5,000 and you leverage it into a $100,000 asset that someone else is going to pay for, that you can make cash flow. And then you take that cash flow on top of whatever you were saving, and you start the whole process over. And if you do that over a 20-year period, you'll build up a nice nest egg. And we all have the ability to do that. It's just being disciplined on understanding where we fall in that. Robert Kiyosaki? He did the cash flow quadrant, and it was like, are you an employee? Are you self-employed? Are you a business owner? Or are you an investor? Right? We all strive to get to that investor, but you got to actually have money to get to that. And that's where you make your money work for you, and not giving it to the bank and let the bank make it work for them. So invest in understanding finances. And there's plenty of ways to do that. There's conferences, there's free stuff, there's free Score. If you own a business, there's a great resource for that. Hey, if you have an accountant, meet with your accountant and actually listen to what they're telling you and understand it. And when you don't understand, just ask questions until you completely understand what they're talking about. I will say this, that not all accountants are created equal. Not all accountants even understand how to make money grow. They understand how to save it. They understand how to put it in certain segments, but not all of them know how to make actual money work for you. So find a good accountant, get educated, and invest in understanding your finances. And this one's a big one. And we all struggle with this one. I do myself too. And that's invest in your relationships. If you're married and you've been married for a long, and I'm not going to cover a lot of it because I'm the worst person to talk about relationships, especially, being a divorced dad. I think I have a really great relationship with my daughter. I mean, everything could use improvement, but invest in relationships. And I don't mean just relationships like, your spouse or your friends. It's building a network of people to surround yourself with. Now, that is something to invest in, because you never know, first off, who you're talking to. In fact, one of the biggest clients that I ever got was, I was sitting on a plane, and they closed the door, which once that door closed on the airplane, they rarely, if ever, let anybody on. And they happened to, this particular time, open the door, and the seat next to me, and if you've ever had to sit in the middle seat and the aisle's open, you're like, that's my seat. And then someone comes on, you kind of like, you don't like that person because they just took your seat, even though it's not your seat. um, but she ended up coming on, struck up a conversation, and for the next 2 years, she hired me as a consultant. That was a long story, just shortened down. And it was just through networking, conversating, understanding relationships. See, if you take all of these five and you combine these five, each one of them play on one another and make it easier. If you understand your finances, you're more willing to be open to new and creative ideas on how to make that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do it, but if you've never invested in a tech startup, maybe you'll be more open to it. Being creative will help you be more self-confident, or look for things that you are interested in and want to learn a lot more about. So investing in relationships is going to be key. So I'm going to sum up the five again, and let you get back to your new year. Because I know if you're like me, it's like, okay, 2019 has started, and this is, for most of, this is the first day back because of the holidays. And the last thing you want to be thinking about is more things for you to do. But again, it's your life, and invest in the most important person in the world that you should care about is yourself. Think self first. And I'm not the first person to say it. I'm not going to be the last person to say that. But again, investing in yourself is the best thing that you could do for yourself, right? So, number one, invest in creativity. Number two, self-confidence. Invest in your self-confidence. Number three, invest in your health. Number four, invest in your finances. And number five, invest in relationships. So my final thoughts with all of this is I've kind of already said it. You are the most important person in the world to yourself. So treat yourself accordingly, and your life will be a lot better. And hey, if people don't like it, that's too bad. You should think of yourself first. When I was a flight attendant many years ago, you probably heard this example before, but I'm going to do it because I was a flight attendant and I could use it. When we would tell people to put their mask on, if you're on the plane, you never imagine that those masks will actually fall out and you'd actually have to put it on. I actually was on a flight that actually happened, and we had to actually put our mask on. But one of the things that people don't understand is if that was a true emergency on that airplane and you were with your child, and it fell out, you literally have seconds before you will pass out. And of course, your child will pass out too, with lack of oxygen to your brain. So the first thing you need to do is focus on putting the mask on yourself, and then focus putting it on that child. Now, that's hard for you to do because our natural reaction is to child ourself. But in that instance, and in most things in life, if you can't take care of yourself, if you're a single mom and you're not taking care of your health, your finances, what you need, how are you going to take care of your kid? You can't take care of them. You'll eventually run out of energy, run out of steam, run out of all of those things. And then you'll look back and wish and see, where did my life go? It's okay, ladies and guys, to be selfish in this particular instance and think about yourself. So I promised you at the beginning that I would mention something, and I already put it in the description at the top, and that is there is an event that's held every year in San Diego, California, that brings people from all over the world. I think this year it's like 7,000 plus people. It's not the biggest event, but it's one of the bigger events. The 7,000 people from all over the world, influencers, Instagrammers, YouTubers, anything that you could imagine that revolves around digital marketing, social media, influencers, people that you've probably seen, their ads come across your screen, people maybe that you follow online, and that is social media marketing world. Let me tell you, I've gone to these events, and hands down, so all of the learning activity is great, right? But the people that you meet there is invaluable. It's just you can't do that anywhere else. I mean, if you're confined to your city, you're going to meet those people. Now, meeting them online, you could certainly buy their courses and do those things, but actually physically meeting them, hanging out with them, for 3 days, and then other people who are wanting to do the same things you're doing, wanting to learn the same things you're doing. It's first of all, it's just unbelievable. The amount of people. You actually get to see that the rest of the world is much like you. They want the same things, do the same things, and it's crazy, right? And you'll meet people that you never thought that you would have a connection with there. Again, it's social media marketing world. If you go to in the description, there's a link there. So they have different levels, right? All the way up to it's like $1,900, VIP, keynote, all this stuff, right? All the way down to $297. You get to still do, meet all the people, see all the people. There's just certain restrictions on like certain workshops and things, but still, if you don't think that you're worth at least $297 for the course and whatever, the hotels and all, I mean, you're talking $1,500 total. It's in March. If you don't think you're worth $1,500, I do. I think if you are somebody who's like looking for a new career, see all of these 5 things, 7,000 people and literally hundreds of classes from how to build your Instagram to running effective YouTube ads. You can learn at this event and really get to the people who are actually doing it day in and day out, making literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a day doing this stuff. If you don't think you're worth it, I do. All of the things that we covered today, you can get all in one event. You'll meet creative people. You'll experience things I'm certain that you've never thought that you would do, try, or see. Meet people that you never had the opportunity to meet, but you do. I can't promise who's going to be there, but I know when I went, there were top Snapchatters, top Instagram people there, YouTubers there, and you get to hang out and just be with them because they're there to learn and meet people too. So if you are like much of us, the year started out and you're like, I want to do something different in my life. I want to try something new. I recommend, it has that social media part in front of it. And social media is so much more than just Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and those things. So I recommend that's the one thing that ask your boss, like, hey, would you be willing to at least pay for the ticket and maybe you cover the flight and the hotel and take your spouse with you? I mean, it's an experience that you could do. And one of the cool things they do is they have a party on an aircraft carrier. If you've never been on one, those things are humongous and it's fun and it makes for good selfies. So for ladies who like selfies, there's some good selfie opportunities and live videos if you do live videos. So for those of you who watched it live, the whole thing, hey, I appreciate that you do that. You give me the most valuable thing you have, and that's your time. You can buy other people's time, but you only have a limited amount of your own time. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I appreciate you guys for watching it. And if you don't mind, again, please share this video with people you think that maybe it'll spur on some thoughts for them. Maybe they just need a little different perspective. I already know that there's going to be literally hundreds of thousands of blogs written about this because it happens every year. There's going to be people doing live streaming. Look, I'm not here to try to inspire you because I can't inspire or motivate you. You can only do that. What I'm here to do is give you a perspective that maybe that you can inspire yourself and motivate yourself to take action and be deliberate about what it is your desires are. You know, you have your desires and you have life demands, right? Life's demands are always going to be there. So what you need to do is be deliberate on your desires. And when you're deliberate, it will take care of those demands. Hey, again, thanks everybody for coming on. And I'll catch you next week here on the Think Like a Marketer show.